I love this man. I probably did more NFL total accesses with this guy as my analyst than anybody else. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. A little bit of Raiders, a little bit of Ravens, a lot of black and gold from the Steelers, and certainly from his days in Purdue. One of my favorites, Rod Woodson, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Rod?
Rich, I am so glad to talk to you because you are becoming big time, man. You're everywhere.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
You're just everywhere. You're like Westwood One, you're Direct TV. I mean, you got podcasts.
Yes,
you're just, I'm glad I knew you before. That's all I'm saying. I'm glad I knew you before.
I'm still the same guy, Rod. Still the same
I
guy.
know you are. That's what I love about you because all your success has not given you the big head, which it can to some people.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, you know, Richie Rich is still Richie Rich.
That's right. Still humble beginnings, even though NFL Network built this gorgeous new facility and studio. Rod, you were there when I was doing Total Access from the same rickety chair for 7-8 years. You heard the creaking as I sat down in it and looked at you, and you looked at me, thought this was going to be the time the chair breaks on live television. You were there for all those shows, Rod. Way back.
Yes, I was, and it was fun.
It sure was. Okay, let's get into it. What do you make of the Kansas City Chiefs, Rod, when you looked at them last night and you've seen them for 8 weeks? What do you have for me?
You know, it's just, first of all, you can't be minus 11 turnover margin, right? You can't have 19 turnovers, by far the most in the National Football League through the first 7 weeks. It just can't happen. You can't think you're going to win football games that way. I think they're just pushing. You know, they're decently well running the football. I just think Patrick Mahomes and the offense is just trying to do too much. They're always trying to hit a home run every play on every down. And if you watch that game, you know, he at times took what the defense gave him, but he still tried to push it down the field because I think that's what everybody expects of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm a little surprised that hasn't changed yet. And I think Eric Bieniemy, and I think Coach Reed, I think they'll get that straightened out on the offensive side of it. They just got to take care of the football. Defensively, you know, it was really good to see them kind of, you know, come around and make some plays on the defensive side. You know, Frank, you know, he's been kind of banged up and beat up throughout the whole year. So hopefully they'll just keep getting better on the defensive side of it. And if they can do that, then, you know, hopefully they can win some football games.
Yeah, I know. I go back and forth between, if they just cut out the turnovers, they'll be fine. And then I see how they played defensively. But then I saw the way they played defensively last night. And then I say, yeah, but that was, you know, a Giants offense that's missing tons of parts and has a quarterback in Daniel Jones who I still don't know if he can be a championship quarterback in this league. So the evaluation, it just keeps kind of changing and shifting, but I eventually just land on the fact that they have some tremendously talented players that
they do,
with a staff that knows how to deploy them. And is a Super Bowl hangover real, Rod? Is that real? Because that's also what kind of looks like what they're going through right now. What is that real?
I don't believe in jinx and all that stuff, right? But it sure seems like it, you know. It just seems like when you get there and you lose, you know, heck, I go back to when I was with the Raiders. You know, we get there in 2002, and the next year, man, we looked terrible. It was just awful. So, you know, is it there? I think, you know, getting so far and losing does have kind of a deflation for the football team. But at the end of the day, you know, you have players, and Kansas City, you know, Chris Jones kind of showed up for him last night.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Clark,
you know, he showed up, and he's been banged up and beat up. Even after the game, he was limping, you know, kind of to the tunnel. So you can kind of see where they're kind of beat up and banged up a little bit. And they do have so much talent. And, you know, I just think they're pushing. I just think they've been so explosive for the last couple years, and we expect everybody in the world who watches football expect them to throw the ball down the field, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and making those big plays. And they've been pushing it. And I think when you do that, and you're not confident with a young offensive line, which they have, I think they're getting better. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes really trusts that offensive line yet, because sometimes the pocket isn't collapsed and he still gets out of it. And, so that tells me that he believes that it's going to be collapsed, right? It's going to get pushed inside and he's going to have to get out anyway. But I think it's a long season. This is the first year for 17 games. I know there's a lot of football left. If the defense can get halfway there, if they can just not have the turnovers, they can win some football games. Because they look, and you did say it, I didn't want to disparage the New York Giants offense. They played against the New York Giants offense, and they don't have a lot of their weapons. But at the end of the day, they play who they play, and they played well enough to win. And in the National Football League, that's what matters.
Rod Woodson here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's going through Von Miller's mind right now? I know when you left Pittsburgh and you left your black and gold heart there, which you've, obviously you're back there now in good graces, but and Miller is in good graces in Denver as well as he leaves. But what's that gonna be like when he puts on a Rams uniform for the first time and gets to know a new organization, Rod? What's that going to be like?
I mean, I felt for him because it was completely different circumstances for him and me. I mean, I left on my own accord because of the contract situation. He goes into the facility thinking he's still a Bronco, right? And they tell him, hey, you need to go see the front office. And they tell him he got traded. So, it kind of hit him at, kind of all at once. And watching his interview, how he got shook up a little bit and kind of emotional at the end of that, I mean, I feel for him for that. Now, with that being said,
I was about to say, do you feel for him more than the quarterbacks that are going to face the Rams with Donald?
No, I mean, that's what I was going to go to. I feel for him personally because his heart is in Denver, right?
Right.
And he did so many good things in Denver. But, man, oh, my gosh. I mean, you got Aaron Donald. You got Leonard Floyd.
That's right.
Now you put Von Miller on the other side of that.
And Ramsey on the back end, too.
And the Ramsey on the back end. And what I love about what they're doing with Ramsey and what they did last year is they're playing him at nickel, too. So, just having those type of players on the team. And they're telling us with that move, they're all in this year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a Super Bowl or bust for them. And you got to play against Tampa Bay. You got to play against Aaron Rodgers. You got to play against Kyle Murray. You better have some pass rushers. So I love the move. I think it's going to be a devastating defense. Raheem Morris has a lot to work with. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with this group.
Especially since you take a look at the NFC as a whole, Rod, as you said, that the Rams are all in. And you could say they were kind of all in this year anyway with Ramsey and Donald, and who knows how long you can be. Look, I don't have their ledger, and Les Snead has been phenomenal trying to figure out how to put all these, pieces together cap-wise or what have you, Donald and Ramsey, and then you go and get Stafford and trade away first-round picks to get out of the Goff contract and get Stafford in. You could already make a case they were pot committed. Now they're all in, and so is Green Bay, because you don't know what's going on with Rodgers. This could be the last dance there. The Bucs have been operating since they signed Brady as there's no tomorrow. It's win for today, win now. And then you mentioned the Cardinals. They get, J.J. Watt. Unfortunately, he's hurt. A.J. Green, Zach Ertz, they're adding to win now. It's just a pot-committed conference with the Cowboys looking as good as they have had in a long time. I'm loving this, Rod. Loving it,
I do, too. I really don't know who the best team in the league is anymore right now. I mean, I think there's so much parity right now at the top that if somebody said one team is better than the other, they're lying. Because you just don't know these top-notch teams, especially in the NFC. I think the NFC has shown their wear this year that they have the best teams in the league. When you talk about Green Bay and Arizona, even Dallas, how great they have really looked, Tampa Bay and Rams, and believe it or not, I need to see where they go, after Jameis Winston getting hurt.
Right.
But the New Orleans Saints have played extremely well this year, and it was led by the defense. So. if Simeon comes in and he's the starting quarterback and the defense still plays well, then they could be a hard out, especially if Tampa Bay meets them in the postseason.
Yeah.
And that's something that, Tom Brady has struggled. He struggled with the New Orleans Saints defense.
So, yeah, because if the Saints win this week, Rod, the Buccaneers will be a wild card team after 8 games because the Bucs would have the same record as the Saints. The Saints just beat them. I mean, it's just and then you're assuming the Niners are going to have to get better. And then, that's the NFC. Then you've got the AFC with the power vacuum. I guess we're kind of going a little full circle with you, Rod Woodson, Pro Football Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Kind of going full circle here because the Chiefs have left a power vacuum because they're 500. You got the Raiders at 5-2. You've got the Bills now having come off the bye. They're 5-2. And then you've got the 6-2 Titans, but without Derrick Henry now for potentially the rest of the season. The Ravens getting boat raced by the Bengals, who then lose to Mike White and the Jets. So who's the best team in the AFC right now? The Steelers are now in the mix too. Let's throw them back in the mix. They're a 6 seed. So I'll give you the floor on that.
That's a great question. Tennessee, when you have Derrick Henry, just a grown man running the football. I've seen big running backs, but that guy, he was that size when he was 18 years old. It's just crazy that he is that big. Now, you said that he might be gone for the whole year. I don't see him coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Frank, man, that's just unless he's just a miraculous healer.
Right.
There's no way he's coming back and cutting on his foot again this year because they're going to put a pin in it. Depending, I know a lot of guys who've had to Liz Frank. Sometimes they got to put a pin in it. Sometimes that pin works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they got to put bone fragments in it and graft it that way. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. That's one of those injuries that you just don't know how the guy's going to be in the future. But with that being said, Ryan Tannehill, we're going to see how good he is without Derrick Henry. Because everybody, they stacked the box because they knew Derrick Henry was going to, he can have that one play where he can change the tide of a football game. Now that threat's not there anymore, so now you can play a 2-shell. They're probably still going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to stay true to who they are, but they don't have Derrick Henry back there anymore. So I don't think defense coordinators are going to worry about that. So we're going to see how good Ryan Tannehill is. And let me say about Vegas, Derek Carr has played extremely well.
He sure has. He sure has.
The year I was coaching with him in, I think that was at 2016, where we were 12-4. Man, he was lights out before he got hurt. I thought he was an MVP race. He should have been in that category. I think he's there again. I think they're a really good football team. Derek Carr has taken it upon himself to be that leader of that football team. And so I'm surprised that the defense has gotten this good this fast. That's what I'm really surprised at. I'm not surprised about Derek Carr, but I'm really surprised about the defense.
All right.
And Baltimore, heck, we thought they were going to be, they get waxed by Cincinnati. We thought they were done forever. And now they're just 5-2. I don't know if you can say if there's one team that's the best team in the AFC. I think there are a bunch of really good teams in the AFC.
Right.
I think the best teams all lie in the NFC. I really do. And I would be surprised if whoever came out of that NFC battle and got to the Super Bowl didn't win the Super Bowl.
I don't know. The Bills are pretty damn stout. I know they lost to Tennessee, and
they shouldn't have lost to Tennessee.
And they shouldn't have lost to the Steelers either. You know what I mean?
And they should not have lost to the Steelers. Yeah, I thought that block punt. Yeah, because they could be 7-0. I do love Buffalo. I'm just saying, as I see everybody and the way the game is played, and what I love about Buffalo, you do have Josh Allen, who's on my fantasy team. He's my quarterback. I think he's going to play better week in and week out.
Okay.
But their defense is really good, and they turn the ball over. And Leslie, if he doesn't get an opportunity to be a head coach again, shame on the National Football League.
Right.
Because I think he deserves it. I think he shows his wear as being a coordinator in the league. He is year in and year out has put a good product on the field. So Buffalo is a good team. I do believe in that, Rich. But I just don't know if any of those teams are better than the NFC teams.
So
and that's because they're going to beat each other up. And whoever comes out of that, I just think they're the best team in the league.
So quick follow-up and then one last question. What's the name of your fantasy team? What's the name of your fantasy team, Rod Woodson? What is
Who
it?
Dat Cat.
Who Dat Cat? And the avatar is of an actual cat? What's the photograph?
No, it's my fantasy team is with the NFL alumni legends or whatever they call it.
Oh.
I don't even know. I just let them give me whatever avatar they gave me.
Okay, so who's winning? Who's winning the NFL Legends Community Fantasy Football League through 8 weeks?
It's not me. I'm only 3-5.
Okay, so who is? Who is?
I don't know. I didn't look. I'm a bitter. I'm a bitter loser. I'm a sore loser. I'm just when I saw I was 3-5, I won yesterday by a point.
Right.
So I'm hoping it's a long year. I'm hoping I can get back into this whole thing, and my running backs who are not great. Hopefully they can come up and help me a little bit.
So that sounds to me, Rod. Are you losing to Webster Slaughter again? Is that what's happening?
Oh yeah. I mean, I lost a couple to Webster.
That's one of my favorite names to bring up to you. Okay, and then last one for you, Rod. Who is the toughest running back for you to take down? You mentioned about Derrick Henry. Now Adrian Peterson is taking his. Who's the guy that you were played against? 80s.
In my time frame?
Yeah, your time frame, where you made a business decision. You're like, okay.
Kevin Mack.
Kevin Mack. That's it, huh?
Yes. Listen, Kevin Mack was like, I don't know if he was 5'10", something like that. He didn't have a neck. I think his head just went right to his shoulders. And, I mean, he was just so powerful. And he knocked out Greg Lloyd in the game. He knocked out another safety in the game. Like, in one game, he knocked out 3 people. And I was like, oh, my goodness. And I didn't know how to tackle the guy because he was so stout. He was the one guy that I went up there. I was trying to figure out how I'm going to hit this dude. He's the only one in my 17 years of playing that I was trying to figure out if I'm going to hit him low or if I'm going to try to throw a receiver down on him and hopefully he trips over the guy. You know, it was tough, but he was the guy that made me think if I was going to make a business decision and let him run by me, it was going to be that guy.
Did you ever, though? Did you ever?
No.
Okay.
Heck no.
Okay, very good.
No, come on, Rich. At the end of the day,
yes,
I'm a blue-collar guy from the Midwest.
That's right.
We play tackle football in the streets, man, in the winter. Right? In front of the cars. And if you slide and hit the car, you're out of bounds. You know, that's how I grew up. So I'm just saying, if I had to make a business decision, I never did.
Right.
If I had to make one, it would have been with him because I seen him devastate Greg Lloyd, 2 of our other safeties, and he came back. Matter of fact, he came back my way one time in that same game, and I don't know if it was Webster Slaughter or the other little receiver they had, and I threw him down, and he tripped over him.
Well, we're seeing we're putting a photograph of him up on the screen right now, Rod. And
he doesn't have a neck, does he?
I don't. It's a head and shoulder pads.
That's what I'm saying.
Rod, he's officially listed at 6'2", 225.
He's 6 foot. He was that big.
That's what Pro Football Reference is saying.
Well, I was hoping he was smaller, but yeah, that size. I mean, think about that. And he's running straight downhill.
Oh man, Rod,
that's when they were IBAX, ISO, and they were trying to hurt you.
Love you, Rod Woodson. Thanks for the call. Let's do this more often. I would love to do this.
All right, Rich.
As much as you're willing. Take care.
All right, brother.
You got it. That's Rod Woodson, the greatest. Kevin Mack. No, thank you.
No.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.